told you that the life you're living right now, the opportunities that you attract, the patterns that you repeat, or even the battles you keep fighting are not being shaped by your goals, not by your willpower, and not by some random coincidence, but they are driven by the hidden beliefs that are quietly running beneath the surface. Most of us think that we're making decisions from our logical, conscious thinking, planning, executing mind. But the truth is, 95% of how you show up in life, what you create, comes from your subconscious mind, the part of you that learned what to believe long before you ever knew you had a choice. It's like that submerged part of the iceberg that you can't see, but it's there and it's silently steering and driving everything. And here's the kicker. Your subconscious mind, it doesn't care whether a belief is true or false. It doesn't. It only cares about repetition and emotion. So whatever you feed that subconscious mind, if you feed it fear, doubt, or a sense of deep unworthiness, those patterns will replicate over and over in your life. But the moment you start recalibrating, the moment you start downloading a new set of beliefs, the moment you decide to tune your inner world to the frequency of that which you really want and desire, then you become magnetic. You start attracting opportunities, people, and experiences that match that vibration. You're not stuck. You're not broken. You are simply running an outdated program in your mind. And the great news is you have the power to rewrite it. When you learn how to reprogram your subconscious mind, you don't just change your thoughts, you change your reality. I'm Kim Strobel, and this is She Finds Joy. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to quickly recap where we left off in the last one. Because if you remember, this is a series about the law of attraction, creating and manifesting the life that you want and desire. And I talked about the law of attraction in the last episode, which is this idea that our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs carry within them a vibration. And that vibration is constantly matched by the universe. In other words, like attracts like. And I shared that for years, my main intention wasn't about just achieving a specific goal, which is what we tend to focus on, but it's about thinking about how do you want to feel in your life. And for me, I wanted to feel freedom in my work, freedom in my schedule, freedom in my personal life, freedom in my personal desires. And I started to learn how to align my thoughts and emotions with the feeling first, then the actions and opportunities started to attract to me. And so in that episode, we talked a lot about how our thoughts create a frequency. And when you match that frequency of what it is that you want to attract or desire in your life, you begin to attract it. And that I explained that it kind of looks and acts like a radio, right? Whatever station you're dialed into in life, are you dialed into the abundance station, or are you dialed into the scarcity and lack of station? Are you dialed into the confidence station or the self-doubt station? And that's what you're going to constantly be getting back in your life. And so I want to take this idea of the law of attraction a little bit further in today's episode. And so the last 3 episodes, we've also been talking about the power of beliefs. And Carol Dweck says, the view you adopt for yourself profoundly affects the way you lead your life. And what she's talking about, whether this is in relation to the students that are in our classrooms and the beliefs that they hold about what they're capable of, the beliefs that you as an adult hold about what you can or cannot achieve, what you can and cannot attract in your life, all of that is based on these beliefs, which are just repeated thoughts. And so I want to talk to you today about the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And so we're going to dissect that today. But first, what I want to say is I want to go back to that. A belief is a repeated thought in your mind. And so whatever you think, whatever you feel, whatever you believe, that is the same condition of your mind, right? And so all of these beliefs, like I said, they were installed in you from your earliest days and formed kind of by the time you were 6 years old by your parents, your caretakers, the prominent people in your life. And what we know is that we all have the power to influence and affect our life. And we have these beliefs, but these beliefs are sometimes very buried in what we call the subconscious mind. And so I want you to kind of picture an iceberg. And you know, with an iceberg, the very tip is out of the water, but the huge, massive part of the iceberg is under the water. And that's what I want you to think of when we're talking about the conscious mind versus the subconscious mind. And so the conscious mind is like that little tip out of the water, the iceberg's tip. And your conscious mind is your thinking mind, your planning mind. It's the ability to reason, to have logical thinking, to do critical thinking, to say, I need to go do the laundry, I need to put the soup on the table, I need to call my mom, right? It's one task at a time. It's doing things voluntarily. And the conscious mind understands past and it understands present and it can project to the future. But we all have a second part of our mind, which is called the subconscious mind. And it's like the dark recesses in the back of our mind. And folks, that is what is responsible for driving most of how we operate in our lives. And the subconscious mind is your belief systems. What do you believe? What did you learn from your parents about money? What did you learn from your parents about taking risk? What did you learn from your parents about, do I start my business and take a risk, or do I always play it safe and just do the same job day in and day out, even though I really don't love what I do for a living? What did your parents teach you about how you navigate relationships and how you handle those types of things? The subconscious mind is all your past programming, and it's also your emotions, your imagination, your intuition. You know how you just have this intuition about things. You just kind of know things even though you can't see it. That comes from your subconscious mind. Your traumas are housed in your subconscious mind. Many of these that you're not even aware of. Hi, friends. This is Kim Strobel, and I'm interrupting your podcast with this quick announcement. I've been getting several requests every week from healthcare organizations, prisons, the FBI, banks, healthcare institutions, and of course, schools and school conferences about keynoting for them. And I think the reason for this is many of us feel like we are victims to our lives, the overwhelming stress, the life circumstances that can take us away from being the best version of ourselves in every area of our lives. And I think that's why I'm getting called to speak at all of these various organizations, because we know that when we learn to prioritize our health and happiness, we move the needle in every area of our life. We are able to show up and productively be better in our jobs. We are able to show up as mothers, fathers, friends. Our health and fitness journey begins to look differently when we actually learn how to prioritize our happiness and well-being, when we can get those outer results. And so if you're interested in having me come do a keynote, if you're a business or organization, you can reach out to kimstrobel.com. And if you're a school or a school conference, you can reach out at strobeleducation.com. And I would love for you to pass my name to whoever is in charge of bringing speakers to your place, because I promise you what you will learn, and what I know for sure is that when we learn to prioritize our happiness and well-being, we elevate every single area of our lives. Bessel van Kolk, I think is his name, he wrote the body keeps the score. And what he's basically saying is we all have these traumas. We have adverse childhood experiences, things that happened to us. Maybe we encountered a divorce. Maybe we had alcoholism in our home. Maybe we had chaos. Maybe we had parents who fought. Maybe we had substance abuse in our home. But we have these traumas, big traumas and little traumas, that still affect us. And those traumas are housed in the subconscious mind, and they are in those hidden recesses, and your body remembers them even if your mind doesn't. And what you're housed in your body, these traumas are still showing up in your life. For example, a lot of the work we do in schools is teaching students how to emotionally regulate themselves, but we have teachers who don't know how to emotionally regulate themselves. I sometimes don't know how to emotionally regulate myself because my traumas keep coming to the surface when I engage in a controversy or I feel wounded by something. So your traumas live in your subconscious mind. Your involuntary actions, right? When you drive, you're not thinking like 10 and 2 o'clock. Oh my goodness, am I between? Like you're just automatically doing it. That is your subconscious mind. And what's really interesting, folks, is the conscious mind, the thinking, the tip of the iceberg, that only drives 5% of how you show up in your life. The other largest portion of the iceberg is your subconscious mind. And that is the part that is driving a huge piece of how you show up in your life, what you believe you are worthy of, what you believe you can achieve, feel, accomplish, go after. And so I'll give you like a quick little example. But again, a lot of these beliefs that we hold that we've kind of forgotten. They're in our subconscious mind. They're not pinging in our awareness all of the time. And here's an example. Here's an example of a belief that maybe many of us were raised with. How many of you have heard, if you believe sitting near a fan will give you a stiff neck, right? Like if you sit in front of a fan, you're going to get a stiff neck. Like our grandparents told us this, our great grandparents told us this. And so if you have this belief that sitting in a fan, or like my mom, she's constantly worried about kids, grandkids going outside without coats, right? And she's just convinced that they're going to get a coat. Well, if that is the belief you hold, your subconscious mind will go to work and it will make sure that you get a stiff neck. Because as you heard in the previous episode about the power of our subconscious mind and our beliefs, right? It's not the action of the fan that is causing your discomfort. It's your erroneous beliefs. The fan is harmless, but you have a belief that you're going to get a stiff neck. If you're, again, afraid you're going to catch a cold because someone in your house sneezes, or someone starts to get a fever, or they have a cough, then your fear becomes the movement of your own mind that creates what you expect to happen, what you fear and what you believe. A great example of this is my husband, Scott. Great guy, super grounded, but if I even tell him I have a sore throat or a nauseous stomach or a headache or a fever, hands down, within the next 5 to 6 hours, Scott Strobel has the exact same symptoms. Sometimes I even test it out just to see if he gets the symptoms. Like I know that sounds awful and mean, but I'm like, I'm always trying to prove the power of our beliefs. And so your thoughts, they are affecting your beliefs. And your receptivity, what you are receptive to about your beliefs, matter. In the same way that you learn to ride a bike, right? It just becomes a natural, repeated thought again and again and again and again. And so what we want to do, folks, is we want to work on that subconscious mind. We want to extract those old beliefs that do not serve us anymore. We want to download a new set of beliefs. This has been the work of my life, extracting these old beliefs that say, Kim does not have the skill set to achieve this. Kim is not intelligent enough to run her own business. She is not somebody who can live in prosperity because she's the woman who was single and 26 years old with a little baby who made $8 an hour. Like the amount of money mindset that I've had to do in my own life to get rid of these old beliefs that were of lack, of scarcity, of victimhood, and replace them and download with new beliefs that say, actually, I'm super capable of this. Not only am I capable, but sit back and watch what I do because she believed she could, so she did it. And so I'm constantly working on my beliefs. And I'll give you another example is right now in front of my computer, as I'm recording this, I have a sticky note that says, you deserve this. And I'll just be transparent with you. Every time my business takes a leap financially, it takes a big leap, I get a little uncomfortable. I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? How did this happen? It's never going to happen again. This is all going to go away. Like, I'm not the type of person who generates this kind of money. I'm not the smart enough person who runs this big of a business. And so as I level up, I have the sticky note that says, absolutely, you deserve every bit of this, Kim Strobel. Look at what you've done. Look at what you've created. You went from, making $8 an hour as a teacher assistant, working as a secretary, to working as a classroom teacher, who becoming a curriculum director, who launching your own business, who now runs, you know, a really successful, service-oriented, heart-centered business that makes money. And so I have to, Kim, you deserve this. You deserve this. You deserve this. I have to download that over and over in front of me. And so just in this particular podcast episode, I only want to concentrate on getting you to understand the subconscious and the conscious mind, because we're going to go further with each one of these episodes in all of this. You know, we talked in the previous episode about what the law of attraction is. We talked about how your thoughts and your feelings are creating a lot of what you're experiencing in your life. In this episode, I wanted to really concentrate on the subconscious mind and the conscious mind. And so again, I want you to kind of think of your subconscious mind as this like dark room in your mind. It's the secret place that just runs tapes that you're not even aware of. And that's where your beliefs are taking shape. Image by image, you know, light and shadow, like that's the subterranean dark room. And here's the thing about the subconscious mind is it stays neutral. So when you are blithely dropping negative thoughts into your subconscious mind, this dark room of ours, we are like, oh my gosh, we're so surprised to see that like these dark thoughts find expression in our day-to-day experiences. And so again, whatever we're thinking and housing in our subconscious mind is constantly showing up in our lives. And so our job is to feed the conscious mind, right? So use your conscious mind and feed it things that are true, and your subconscious will reproduce according to your habitual mental conscious pictures. And so again, you have infinite riches within your reach, but you've got to learn how to become a magnet for the things that you want. And the way you do that is by working with those beliefs that are housed in that subconscious mind. And so if you think like of a magnetized piece of iron, right? Like it will lift 12 times its own weight, the magnetic force. But if you demagnetize it, you turn it around, it won't even lift a feather, right? And this is the same way. There are two types of people. There are those magnified people that are full of confidence, faith, abundance, life. They know they are born for success. They win and win and win and win at life. I know people, I always said they had the Midas touch. Like I went to school with a guy who got C's, D's, and F's. He barely graduated, but everything he puts his fingers on turns to gold. He has become an amazing businessman. He's created a multi-million-dollar business. I always say the guy could buy a car for $500 and turn around and sell it for $5,000 the next day. Like he has this Midas touch. And what that basically means, folks, is he's just magnetized. He's magnetized with the belief in himself that he can attract and create this magnificence that he's making in the world. And so that's one type of person. But then you have the people who are demagnetized, who are full of fears, full of doubts. And when an opportunity comes, they say, what if I fail? What if it doesn't work out? What if I lose my money? Like their fear forces them to stay stuck. And so when you know this secret of the law of attraction and universal intelligence and your ability to co-create, you become a more magnetized person. And the secret to this secret miracle working power that you have in your subconscious mind is there for you. And it can bring forth more power, happiness, love, abundance, prosperity. Like you don't have to acquire it. It is already in you. You just have to start applying it. And so I'm going to leave you with this today. It's one of my favorite quotes from Marianne Williamson, and it says, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Let me start that over. Our deepest fear isn't that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Friends, you have the ability to make magic happen in your life. But what we're going to be learning in this episode and future episodes is how to reprogram your subconscious mind so that you can raise the vibrational frequency that you're operating from, so that you can begin to co-create a life that feels really good to you from the inside out. And let me tell you, if this is an episode that you're like, oh my goodness, I need to share this with my friends, somebody else needs to hear this information, like we need to do this work, then do me a favor. Maybe you have a brother, a sister, a friend, a coworker who you think this episode they would love. Then do me a favor and copy the link over it and share it to them, because the more people that we get owning their power and their worth in the world, the more magic that all of us can go out there and create. Thank you so much for joining me on the She Finds Joy show today. I'm truly honored that you chose to spend your time here with me, my dear friend. If this episode brought you encouragement or a fresh perspective, I would be so grateful if you took a moment to leave a review. Just head to kimstrobel.com/review. And what it does is it helps more people find these important conversations. Don't forget, you can also subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. Thank you again for listening in. I am so very grateful, my friend, to walk this journey with you. I also want to encourage you to share this episode with everybody in your life you care about. We all need encouragement and real talk. Thank you for listening and watching. I believe in you for being able to create a life that feels good from the inside out. Remember, you are deserving of joy and happiness.